Hi, it's craftytinas. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this little notebook, and it includes a pen holder that holds the notebook closed. Now, it's not very firm closed, but it's like put it in your purse firm closed. We're going to do this by adding a pen loop to the inside of the front cover and the inside of the back cover so that when you slide your pen through, and we're using a little mini pen today, when you slide your little pen through, it closes the notebook. This is not elastic. This is adhesive fake leather, I guess I would call it. I'm going to show you how to make your own little pen loops, because if you've seen my other videos, you saw that I purchased some little pen loops, and they're basically fake leather with a little elastic. I got the multicolor pack, which is great. There's 12 of them in here. The only problem is there are 12 different colors. That means I did not have 2 black ones to make this little notebook. So I bought a roll from Amazon of, this is like a leather pouch, like you were gonna patch up a leather couch or love seat or chair, and you had like a hole in it and you needed to put leather over it. This is what this is for. So this elastic is super sticky. It's not overly thick. It's about the same thickness as these little things that I got. But the adhesive is really nice. I was a little worried that it would be wimpy and I'd have to like secure it some other way. So I was very happy with the adhesive on this. I will put this link in the description. All I did to make my little loops was cut a piece of this off. So I literally cut a little less than 3 inches. I drew some T's on here. I'm going to work on getting a template for this so that if you guys wish to have the same size or just give you a basic idea of what size these are, you'll be able to use that. Make sure you subscribe to my Facebook page. That's where I put all of my templates. They're always free downloads in PDF format. I will try to get a template made for these so that you guys will have this if you want to duplicate it. You don't really, the sizing is basically whatever you want based on whatever pen you're using or what size notebook you're using. You can do larger loops, smaller loops. The inside can be bigger or smaller. This is just after trial and error. This was the size that I was happy with for this notebook. And those sizes might change. That's why I haven't cut out a lot of these. I just wanted to show you I used a white gel pen to trace a piece of cardstock that I had used to make my pattern. Once you make the little T's and you cut them out, I then took a paper punch that rounds the corners, and I rounded my 2 corners. Not that it needed it, it just, on this one, it didn't give it a finished look, and the rounder ones do. You can see some of my white markings here. I haven't taken that off yet, but I liked the fact that it's flush against my inside, so I didn't mind the point on this side, but I like the rounded corners. These have rounded corners, which is what made me think of it. So let's get started and talk about what we're going to need to make this little notebook. I've got it all laid out to tell you what you need in case you want to duplicate this, but you can really make this in any size you want and put a loop on the front and a loop in the back, and it will have the same concept. I'm just using a little notebook as an experiment to show you how to make your own loops and how to attach them so that it will close your book for you. So this particular notebook is a 3.5 by 3.5 notebook. There's no extra over here for the pen. It is the same size, both front and back. The pen is being held in by the little loops. So you will need chipboard. You need 2 pieces, one for the front, one for the back. This notebook is 30-point chipboard, and I cut it to 3.5 by 3.5. And again, you need 2 of them. You can use heavier or lighter weight chipboard. For this particular project, I don't recommend lighter chipboard. So if you're using like cereal boxes or granola bar boxes, I recommend that you double it because it needs to be a little stiff because you're using it for a dual purpose. Now you're going to need whatever you wish to cover your notebook. This can be cardstock, it could be paper, it could be wallpaper, contact paper. This is adhesive vinyl. This came from Dollar Tree. So it's only $1.25, and you get 12 inches by 48 inches, so it's a really good bargain. I would not use this on anything that's plastic, metal, shiny. This will peel off. But it does stick really well to chipboard, so that's the only reason I purchased this vinyl. Otherwise, I use Oracle 651 if I'm using a vinyl project. They only have limited colors, and they only have a few glitter. So you need 2 pieces of the vinyl. Now when you're covering a cover, if you don't know how to do that, check out my other videos because I show various ways. You need your vinyl to be 1 inch larger than your chipboard. Your chipboard is 3.5, your vinyl or covering needs to be 1 inch bigger so that you can have a 1/2 inch all the way around. The next thing you're going to need is the inside of your notebook. The inside of this particular notebook is lined, and these are index cards. They were 3x5 index cards, but I cut them to be 3 inches. They're already 3 inches. I cut them here to be 3 1/4. So they need to be 3 1/4 wide and leave the 3 inches tall. They're just cheap index cards from Amazon. They're relatively stiff, but still thin. I'm using 30 sheets, and I only punched a few. We're going to punch the rest together so I can show you how to set the machine to make your pages slightly smaller than your cover using my guide. If you've watched my other videos, you've seen this guide. I showed you how to use it. It's also on my Facebook page. It's to show you how to center your wires on the books. It is not showing you a specific project. I need to clarify that. It is only showing you if I want my notebook to be a certain size and a certain amount of holes, where do I set my guides? That is all this is showing you. It's not showing you everything I've made in my YouTube videos. Once we have our paper, then we need the cardstock that I've put on the inside of this book. Normally I match or semi-match the outside. So I almost used this, but I thought my little straps would look better if it wasn't on pink. So I chose black cardstock to go on the inside for this project. You can use either or, and they're 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, just plain cardstock, which you would use for scrapbooking or card making. The next thing you need is your wire. This particular wire for this notebook is 9/16. It's a double loop wire, and it's 2-to-1 pitch. I used my handy dandy little guide to tell me what size wire I wanted to use. These are the 4 I have in my house at the time, so I wanted to make sure that I used a wire that was larger than my book, but not so large that it's going to stick up. So that's why I went with the 9/16. One of my biggest questions is, how many pages fit in each size wire? There is absolutely no way to tell you that because it is going to depend on what your pages are made out of. Like if I did 30 paper pages compared to 30 cardstock or index card pages, they're going to fit differently because of their thickness. The other thing is, if I covered these with cardstock, not vinyl, the covers themselves would be thicker. If I used chipboard inside that is bigger than 30, then this notebook would be even thicker. So there really isn't any way to give you how many pages goes in each size wire. But if you have a guide, and there is a video showing you how to make this, you can make your book and then determine what size wire you need. By making the guide yourself, you can use the wires that you have and not wires that are available, because there's a lot of wires available in different sizes other than these 4. I just chose these 4. I wanted 4 different sizes, so these are the ones I picked because Amazon has them. I don't use the We Are Memory Keeper brand because they're more expensive, and I am practicing lots of trial and errors. I want to be comfortable enough that if this fails, I can throw it away and start over. So that is how the wire works. You can't really say 100 pages for this, 75 pages for this, 50 pages for this, because it's never going to be correct, because I don't know what page you're putting inside, and I don't know how thick your binding covers are going to be. I hope that helps. I plan on trying to explain that a little bit more in another informative video. So we are also using a mini pin. This came from Walmart at Christmas time in the stocking stuffer section. It is 3.5 inches long. You can get these at the dollar store. You can also get these on Amazon. They're basically just called mini pins. But watch your sizes, because mini pins can mean anywhere from 4.5 inches to 3.5 inches. So if you want a 3.5 inch pen, make sure you read the description and not end up with a 4.5 pen when you wanted it to be 3.5. I didn't buy this from Amazon, but I can put the Amazon link in the description just so that you know. I think they actually had these exact pens. These are smelly pens, so this pen actually smells like fruit. I think this one's watermelon. I'm an 80s child, so it's the little things that count. So here is the packaging from my Amazon index cards. I will put that in the comments as well. So now let's talk a little bit about these pen loops. We're going to make one on camera together. I simply cut them out. I rounded my corners using a paper punch. For some reason, this vinyl really did cut well in a paper punch, and this is just a Fisker corner rounder that I had for card making, and you just put the corner in the punch and punch it, and it rounds the corner, and I thought that gave it a much cleaner, nicer look. So if you have one, great. If you don't, it's not necessary. If you don't have one and you plan on making a lot of paper crafts, this is one punch that I do recommend you get. Even if you have dies and cutting machines, because I have all those too, a paper corner rounder and any kind of paper edge punches, I recommend those. One little thing you're going to need is some clear vinyl, and you're going to need this because this entire sheet is sticky. It has adhesive. But the inside of these loops, you don't want to have adhesive on them. So where the pin sets, which is about from here to here, we're going to cover that with some clear vinyl so that it's not sticky. And this adhesive clear vinyl stuck very well to here. If you allow extra room, you could even put felt or fabric in there if you wanted to. So let's get started making this little tablet. It's basically a perfect thing to drop in a book bag or a purse, because it is going to be more containing than just dropping in a regular notebook. So we need to make our covers. I'm going to do this on camera fairly quickly. I have other videos going into more detail, but you're basically just wrapping chipboard like you would wrap a present. Put it in the center, press it down. You want to clip your corners close but not touching the point. Word of advice, don't stick this to your machine. It does leave a residue behind, and you will have to use alcohol to get it off. Press down your 4 edges. Starting in the middle is the best way to keep your wrinkles out. And now we have one cover. You need to repeat that for the back. Like I said, we're just going to do this briefly. I didn't want to already have it done because sometimes it helps to see this process being done multiple times. So even if you've already seen this in other videos and you're impatient, trust me, I might be able to make a mistake here and entertain you guys. Place it in the center. Clip your corners. I used to try to be very neat with clipping the corners, but after a few books, you really realize that it does not matter if this is center. Did you guys see that? I almost put those sticky things on my machine again. We're just going to put these down. you're new to this, I recommend you do this a little slower than I just did to get a feel for it. Now that we have our two covers, this is the outside, this is the inside. We're going to add our cardstock. Now I'm choosing to use black just because I want it to match my loops, but you can choose to use a matching color. We are going to put adhesive. Sorry, it's on the other side of the room. We're going to use squeaky to add double-sided adhesive. I'm calling it the squeaky because it has always squeaked. It is an advanced tape glider, and it's basically just double-sided tape. I get the refills really reasonable on Amazon. It works just like a tape dispenser would. If you've ever packaged boxes and used a big tape dispenser, it works that way. You push the button and roll it. I really like it. I thought the size of it was going to be a problem. Yes, it squeaks. That's why we call it squeaky. But it's pink and cute, and it's been part of my craft room for many years. So let's put the cardstock in the center. Now we have our cover, front and back. Now we need to punch our holes. So let's get rid of this. Move our machine so you can see it better. You're going to take out craftytinas cinch log. This cinch log is only to show you how to space your wires. It is not project specific. This is not going to show you how to make this notebook. It's only going to show you where to punch the holes. Let's start with the pages. This is the side where the wires are. Side with wires. This is 3 inches. So we want to go to 3 inches. I have 2 here that are 3 inches. One has 4 holes and one has 5, and we are doing 5 holes. So we follow this line. It's 3, the size is 3 inches. The number of holes I want is 5. So my slider needs to be in. The in position is the 1 inch position. So my slider is in, and then I have in parentheses the 1, which means it's all the way flush, lined up with the 1. The next step is we need to push 1 through 5. We need to pull 6 through 12. And I always double check, even though you think they look pushed and pulled, I always double check. I don't want to mess up my covers especially and have to start over. So remember, this book has the binding on the left. We need the holes on the left. So that means we need the holes here. Just going to take a small stack. Inside, I'm going to make sure they are pushed all the way to the top and all the way to the left, and 1 through 5 is all I'm punching. I know it can punch more than I'm giving it. It does really well. As long as you make sure it's lined up, your holes will be perfect every time. And now we have all of our holes punched. We need to punch our covers. Now, before we punch them, you need the insides facing each other or the outsides facing each other. You do not want to do this, because if this is slightly off, it will not matter if the insides are facing or the outsides are facing. If one is facing and one is not, like these are both up, so I don't have an inside facing an inside, I have an inside facing an outside. If it's slightly off, your notebook is going to be slightly off. So I always put the notebook like it's going to be when it's finished. But now the cover is larger than the pages. These pages are 3 1/4 by 3. These are 3.5 by 3.5. We're punching on the 3.5 side. We're punching on the 3 side. So for the covers, I'm going to use the guide again. Even though these pages are 3 inches, these are 3.5. So we need to go to the 3.5 size, 5 holes. Now my slider needs to be 1 1/4. So my slider has to go this top long line, the very first line has to match up to 1 1/4. That is going to center my pages inside. I'm going to show you with just one so it's easier for you guys to see. I want my pages to be centered, or as close to centered as possible, inside my binder. I don't want them to be all to one side. In order to do that, the slider has to be out to get that spacing correct. So now I'm going to punch my covers. 5 gets pulled because we are still doing 5 wires, so we need 5 punches. 6 through 12 is pulled. 1 through 5 is pushed. I'm sorry, not pulled. My slider is set to 1 1/4. I'm punching 5 holes, and my cover is 3.5. Remember the rule, measure twice, cut once. That kind of applies to punching too. I simply put them in the machine together and punch. Now I have equal space on both sides, and that is why I created this log, is to help people line up the holes. This log does not indicate all the notebooks I've made and what their sizing is. I was kind of called out on that by my husband, who said it was confusing that he could not pick up this paper and make any notebook that I've made. So I wanted to clarify, this is not for each notebook I've made. This is only for lining up your holes. So now we're going to bind the book. We have 9/16 wire double loop, 2-to-1 pitch. That means there's 2 holes in each inch. And we're using 5, and we have 5 holes. Hang it on the side. And here's the order I stack mine in so that the seam is inside the back of the notebook. I put all the pages first. Everything that's going to go inside that notebook, in whatever order you want, they go in first. Then the front cover, facing up. This is what you see. This is how you see the book. The cover facing up and the pages. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the back with the back outside facing down. So pretty cover to pretty cover, if that helps you remember, or inside facing up when it comes to the last item. And that is how I stack my pages. And that's how you mess them up. I recommend that if you do that, you put it back so that in your head you go through that system again to make sure you didn't put them out of sequence. So now I'm going to hang on to this, and now we're going to punch. We need to set our wire gauge. This knob you push and turn. These are 9/16, which is not a measurement on here, but it doesn't mean that it cannot do this size. It just simply means you got to do a little bit of math. 9/16 is slightly over the 1/2. So I find the half and make my marker. That would be the half. It's pointing to the half. I turn my marker up 1 click higher because 9/16 is slightly larger than a half. We put the wires flush to the back of the machine, holding it there, making sure they are all the way to the back. And then we can cinch our wires. And this is the seam I was telling you about, and you want that inside your book, and you want it in the back. Now I have this cute little book, and my seam is in the back. This is important if you want the look to be like this, where there's no seam on the outside. The seam is hidden inside the book. And that also means the 2 little edges are also hidden inside the book. Now we have a really cute notebook, and we could stop here, We don't have to add anything else to it. But for this video, we are going to learn how to make pen loops so that we can add a pen to any notebook. If you want to just add a pen to a notebook, you don't have to put two, you can just put one and it will hold. These are not elastic, like the little packet I got. It is just leather. But most pens have these little pocket holders on them, and that works just fine. You can put that on there and you can still have it without the other loop. But I wanted it to hold my book closed, so I'm putting two. First thing we need to do is actually get them ready. So I did this first, and then I cut the 3 pieces out. And by staggering them, I got 3 full pieces in less than 3 inches of this leather. I like crafting thrifty. I want to round the outside corners. Clearly for looks only, there's no reason to do this. See how it rounds the corners? This is not a necessary step, it's just I wanted to do it. So now my corners are rounded. I have 2 pieces that have rounded corners. The next thing we need to do is we need to remove the adhesive, but we have to cover up where this pen is going to go. This pen is basically going to sit in here. We don't want it sitting on adhesive because then it's going to get stuck. So what I did was I'm like, okay, how big or small do I want my pen to be in there? And I want it about like that. So what I basically did was I bent this to give me a seam. Now I want my plastic to go from here to here. Try to get a straight side here. And never have a pen when you need one. Now it's going to smell like fruit. So that is the size I want to have my clear vinyl. I basically want to put that little piece of vinyl on the adhesive. And I didn't cut very straight the first time, so there we go. So I'm adding this here once it's exposed, so that when this folds over, I have a piece of adhesive attaching to the other adhesive. Whew, that was close. So let's take off the backing, and like I said, this is really good adhesive. I wish I could find this adhesive for my puffy stickers because I'm having issues with them. We're going to lay this down carefully. We're going to peel the clear vinyl, and you don't have to use clear. You could probably use any color you want. Black would be great because you wouldn't see it. Pink would be really cool. I'm going to line up the edge with this edge here and put the cleared vinyl down. This allows me to have a non-sticky item for my pen to touch. And I put my pen in to fold this closed just so that I could make sure that I'm closing it properly. And now my pen can come, I think it's stuck. My pen can come in and out. Now you're going to see a little clear vinyl on the top and bottom. I can cut that off when I'm done, not a big deal. But now there's enough adhesive on here to hold it to my book. And if you'll, let's use this one as a guide. For the bottom, on the back cover, I put it toward the bottom. But like I was telling you in the beginning, I think I need to put them a little closer together. So I'm going to come up a little on this one. Not much, just a little. Because I want to see if that holds my pen, my book, a little bit more closed. and then press down. And like I said, this is really good adhesive. It is not going to be forgiving, so make sure you have it where you want it when you put it down. I basically lined it up with my paper. And you can see there's just a little bit of shiny vinyl. I will go back and cut that off. It's hard to do that reaching over the camera though. So now we need to put the front one in. And again, we need to make sure our pen's going to fit in here because I really do think I made this one kind of tiny. Nope, it fits. As long as it fits and the paper goes beside it, you are good. And again, you could stop here. You don't have to put two, but I want to secure my book. So let's do this again. Because we have this as a template and this is the exact pen I'm going to use, I'm just going to use that template to cut out my next piece of clear vinyl. And I know I'm not measuring this to give you guys measurements, but it's going to depend on what pen you're using. You need to make sure it fits the barrel of the pen. So now I can take the backing off our second loop. Pull it off carefully. And when I say this is sticky, guys, this is sticky. Somebody used some really good adhesive on this. Which I'm glad. I'm really glad because this pen coming in and out, I don't want it to fall out. Here's my clear piece. I'm going to line it up here. Sorry guys, it's really hard to do it around the camera. I want it to start there and go out. And as you can see, I wonder if I can pull this off. I was very crooked. It's a little harder for me because I am reaching over the camera. I'm going to do it one more time. Lining it up here and going across. And that's probably as lined up as I'm going to get it. I don't want my pen to stick to anything, so I'm putting some vinyl on that side. Just like that. So now you're going to fold this over again, and I'm going to use my pen again as a guide. There we go. And now there's enough adhesive on all sides to put it in the book. And again, I'm not going to go all the way to the top like I did here because I want to test my theory. Will it close better if they're closer together? So now I have added that. And now I have two pen loops. The front one's top, the back one is bottom. I might be able to cut it from here. I had to take off that little piece of vinyl. So that when I close my book, I should be able to put it exactly in. And these are a little snug, but it's going to take some practice. I'm going to get some better measurements for us too. But there we have it, and it looks like having it slightly closer does make the book a little less flimsy. So that is what I have for you today, guys. We're going to work on these pen loops a little bit more, making them a little better, a little easier to get in and out. I'd also like to try too, because they're so sticky, I'm going to attempt to make some of these. So I will let you know how that goes. Make sure you watch my other videos on making binders and watch my other upcoming videos for making new and exciting things, such as making some of these. That's all I have for you. I will put all of the links in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe. Check out my other videos for how to make more notebooks. And thanks for watching. As always, guys, happy crafting.